plan to crow about the obvious failure of health reform, right? Well, now that health reform isn't failing, what are they going to do this year? Turns out that their plan is to switch metaphorical birds. Turns out their plan now is less crowing, and more ostrich, as in sticking their heads in the sand. The Republican plan, apparently, if this weekend has anything to say about it, the apparently new Republican plan for dealing with the real reality on the ground is that Republicans are just going to pretend it's not happening. La, 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 la.
All right, I'm not sure what that la 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 was, but that was Rachel Maddow. That was unmistakable. And joining us now as we welcome you back to the Steve Malzberg Show is my friend Stephen Moore, founder and former president of the Club for Growth, but former editorial, now he's editorial board member and current senior economics writer for the Wall Street Journal. Hello, sir.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Wait, was Rachel Maddow saying that she now thinks Obamacare is a success?
Absolutely. And Republicans don't know what to do. They're burying their head in the sand.
You know, I mean, it's you don't know whether to laugh or cry. I mean, I have so many friends and even family members who've lost their insurance because of this plan that if you like what you had, you get to keep. And they're living in a fantasy world, Steve.
Well, Steve, here's the thing. 6 million people lost their insurance, right? We figure they had to do something because their employer ended their insurance last year. And now they're claiming, although I don't buy this, I'd love your take, that 7 million signed up. So we did all this for 1 million people? We wrecked the whole system?
Right, and that's, for their case, the best case scenario. We know that about 15 to 20% of the people of those 7 million have not paid premiums. And so if you haven't paid premiums, folks, you don't have insurance, number one. So that's, you can subtract another, million or so from there. And then we know about another half of those remaining 5 to 6 million people have already had insurance, and they just switched. So that's not a net increase of the number of people who are covered. So we're probably talking about, if there's 6 million people lost their insurance, and maybe 3 or 4 million have gained insurance, I don't know. By my math, that's a decline in the number of people who have health insurance.
It is such a disaster, and you're right. I mean, the horror stories that are out there, people who have lost their insurance and people who thought they were insured and people with sick children who can't go to the hospital or the doctor anymore that they were used to. It's horrific, and they poo-poo it, and they're doing their victory lap and their victory dance, and it's really sad. And let Rachel Maddow and let Debbie Wasserman Schultz and let Harry Reid and let Nancy Pelosi keep being proud of themselves and say they're going to run on this, and then they'll all lose in November.
Well, look, they're all in, right?
Yeah, right.
They're all in, and this election is going to be, in large part, a referendum about whether the American people want Obamacare. I happen to think the Democrats, like Mary Landrieu and others, I think, Pryor in Arkansas, I think Republicans could pick up, 8 to 10 Senate seats. But you know what? Even if that happens, Democrats still won't change or repeal Obamacare because this is their vision that they've had for 50 years.
Right, and
1/7 of the economy.
And
so
right.
They'll go down with this ship, Steve.
Absolutely. It's all about control. And by the way, Steve Moore, of course, is the chief economist for the Heritage Foundation these days also, we should point out. No small title there. All right, we have numbers coming out at the end of the week. And Steve, you and I have been talking about these numbers all the way back to at the beginning of the first Obama administration. And I just laugh. I wait for the analysis of the numbers every month, and and in the aftermath of the number being released, and all they have to do is be a little better than expected, or be around 190 as opposed to 100 or whatever, and you get this handful of people, that economists and others who always say, well, it's turning around. It looks like, a lot of the jobs are out there. And I'm like, no. Stephen Moore says every time I talk to him that you got to have at least 250 a month constantly going forward to ever dig our way out of this mess. Did we lose? We lost Stephen Moore. Okay, that happens. I lose people all the time. That's why I try to hold hands with people when I'm walking with them. Maybe I should try it when I'm talking with them. If I was holding Stephen Moore's hand, chances are he would not have disappeared. And if he did disappear, chances are I, too, would have disappeared with him. And then we'd be in a big, fix. So maybe it's better that I did not hold Stephen Moore's hand. But it's true. And when we get him back in a second here, hopefully he'll tell you. You need 250,000 jobs a year as a base minimum a year. A month created, newly created jobs, and we'll find out those numbers on Friday, the first Friday of the month for March, the previous month. And we've been nowhere near that. We haven't had, I don't think we've had over 2 months in a row of 200,000 jobs created under the whole Obama tenure. So we're not getting out of this mess. People are giving up looking for work. People are working and taking jobs that are lesser, that they can't get by on because they need something. So they were making 100, they're making 50. They were making 250, they're making 100. I mean, it's not good. It's really not good. And how long can an economy sustain itself under those conditions and those circumstances without turning into the utopia that Barack Obama envisions, which is basically a Marxist utopia where everybody has their lot and everybody has the same, and it's not fair if your neighbor has more, and why should he have something you don't have? And if you have a lot, you're evil, unless, of course, you're an athlete or a movie star or Barack Obama and his rich circle of friends, because he's a millionaire after all. But if you're, a hardworking banker, hardworking Wall Street person, hardworking anything almost, and you're successful, and you're a millionaire, let's say, that's not good because you didn't build that, and you're greedy, and you're doing it on the back of somebody, and you shouldn't have it. So we're going to take it from you. I mean, this is all elementary Marxism, and that's the mantra now of Obama and the left. That's what they're all about. They call it populism. I call it communism. Okay, people should be encouraged to succeed. People should be, and here's the problem. Here's why employers are not hiring and have not been hiring since Barack Obama became president of the United States. Uncertainty, because Barack Obama has regulated them to death, threatened to regulate them to death, passed legislation that will regulate them to death, has sicked the EPA and other agencies. Stephen Moore, we unfortunately, and by the way, next time, nothing implied here, we have to hold hands so I don't lose you. Get it?
I'm sorry I did, but good to be with you. Let's talk next week. And, the unemployment rate, the real unemployment rate in this country is closer to 10 to 12%, Steve.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like a broken record. But isn't it the uncertainty? I mean, we keep hearing businesses are sitting on cash, sitting on capital, blah, blah, blah. They're not hiring. They're not hiring because people are or they're paying less because people are accepting jobs for less because they're desperate. And also regulation, taxes, Obamacare, threats of regulation from agencies. They're scared to death to hire.
Yeah, businesses aren't investing, workers aren't consuming, and banks aren't lending because of the TV show Fear Factor, right? And what they're afraid of, when I talk to businessmen and women, why they're not reinvesting, they're sitting on cash. About $1.5 trillion of cash is not being reinvested in the economy to create more jobs and more products is because they are terrified of what the next shoe is going to drop from Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. We've had tax increases. We've had Obamacare. We've had cash for clunkers. We've had $5 trillion added to the debt. I mean, these are things that make businesses very nervous about expanding. They're extraordinarily risk-averse right now.
Absolutely. Steve, we only got a few seconds. Give me a number. What do you think the number will be, or is it even foolish to try to figure it out?
For the jobs?
Yeah.
Oh, I think we'll be about 175,000 because it's a little bit of a makeup from the bad winter. But we should be creating 400,000 to 500,000 jobs.
Right, or at least the two.
All
right, at least the 250 break so-called base point. Thank you, Stephen Moore, Wall Street Journal, Heritage Foundation. Give me 5 next.
We don't just talk about the news, we talk to those making news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.